This is the MG6, a car that was originally introduced in 2011. For 2015, MG have spruced the car up with a whole host of revisions to bring things in line with their little MG3 Super Mini. Like I say, it was introduced in 2011, and it was a good start for a brand which has had a troubled history and has been reintroduced to the UK market. Yes, many of you will say that it is under Chinese ownership now, and that is no lie and completely undeniable, but the finishing touches at least are still put on in the Longbridge plant. Now, the MG6 actually represents very good value for money, particularly in 2015 with some of these changes. Under the bonnet of this MG6 is a slightly revised 1.8 litre diesel engine, which actually produces a nice punchy amount of torque, particularly at above 2000 RPM when the turbo really is working. In terms of economy, mixed driving conditions this week have actually proven over 50 mpg in terms of return, and for an engine of this size and a car of this size, that's actually very pleasing. Also new on this car is the touchscreen infotainment display here, which gives you access to satellite navigation, Bluetooth, messages on your phone if it'll allow, and various media. That's a nice addition to the car that certainly brings it in line with rivals. This top specification car with leather certainly is quite a refined place to be, particularly when you're up to speed. The diesel engine is a little bit noisy under load, but to be perfectly honest, the cabin is adequately insulated for motorway where this car will spend most of its life. The suspension is actually a very good mix between something that allows for some dynamic handling and not too much body roll, as well as the ability to soak up those bumps in the road. Like I say, if you put your foot down, torque from that diesel comes through. It's, like I say, it's capable of some strong overtaking manoeuvres. Another positive note is this 6-speed manual transmission. It's got quite a nice mechanical shift to it, and as a result, it's quite an enjoyable car to drive, particularly on country roads where things start to get a little bit energetic. You can actually have quite a good time in such a car. Now, the MG6 does have some questionable points about it, particularly in terms of interior material usage. This sort of faux brushed aluminium is actually all made of plastic, and there are some big blank spaces in the cabin where you feel that the designers maybe could have done a bit more with it. All of the plastics, though not the greatest quality in terms of touch and feel, they do appear quite durable, so they'll probably withstand family life quite well. I also mention quality because the key, if you read many reviews, the key is a big talking point. It's such a light, flimsy piece of plastic, and it really cheapens the whole feel of the car, particularly when they're first handed over to you. You can't quite believe that this is the thing that starts quite an expensive object. I say quite an expensive object, that's a relative term, because the MG6 can actually be had for under £14,000, which is fantastic value for the level of performance and kit you get on board. I mean, its rivals really will have a challenge when it comes to competing on value for money. Inside there is bags of space, plenty of head and leg room at the rear, visibility is very good. Frontwards, you've got decent sized mirrors. The rear visibility maybe isn't quite so good. The steep rake of the rear windscreen results in reduced visibility, but then this car is optioned with a reversing camera, which does make up for that a little bit. This specific car also features dual zone climate control, heated leather seats, and stop start. As well as the cabin being plentiful, the boot does boast a great capacity and is highly usable. Whilst the MG6 does require a bit more polish to be mentioned in the same breath as class leaders as the Ford Focus, it certainly acquits itself rather well, and certainly for the price. Every time I find a bad point with the car, I do seem to come back to, for the money, it's actually rather good, and I think that's what MG are going for. The 2015 MG6 clearly benefits from the changes made. Certainly over the last car, it's a much better product. In terms of value for money, however, the MG6 really does tick that box, and if you need a new car and you are on a budget, it's very hard to recommend something else that comes this loaded with kit.